Do you remember sometime this year people were clamoring about one cool looking phone? No, not the foldable ones, but a phone that has a transparent back panel with LEDs on it? Yeah, the Nothing Phone 1. A few months has passed since and the hype has died down. Sales aren't doing as great, at least in the Philippines. It looks very futuristic with its cool looking design, but most people find it very basic on the inside. What's up guys, VJ here, Fugatech, and follow along as we revisit the Nothing Phone 1 to see what happened and how this phone went from being something into nothing. From the get-go, the build quality is superb. The frame is made out of a strong aluminum steel, giving it a somewhat premium look and feel to it. The glass from the back panel and on the display is made out of a Gorilla Glass 5, which has proven to us its durability over time. But what really sets this phone apart from the others, much like the Nothing Air 1, the Nothing Phone 1 has this transparent look at the back panel, which has LEDs. Don't get us wrong, it does look cool, but we think this might be the feature that made this very popular, yet forgettable, and here's why. The Nothing Phone 1 has a few issues, but let's address one at a time. For starters, the LEDs at the back is one of the main selling points of the Nothing Phone 1, as it does look very different from the competition. It offers a slew of accessibility features, one of which is telling if you have a notification, the custom glyph pattern lets you know if a specific person is calling, and uses it as an extra fill light for when you take photos in dark environments, which by the way only works best for near or small objects. All cool and dandy until there were some reports that these LEDs were slowly peeling off the frame. I mean, that's one of the selling points of this device, and yet there have been few units released that encountered this manufacturing issue. Lucky for us though, we didn't have that issue in our unit, at least at the time of filming this video. Forgettable in that sense, after exploring all of this device's glyph features, I find myself just placing it at the table face up, like what I would normally do with a regular smartphone, so I have direct access to notifications. Needless to say, after showing it off to some of my friends, I didn't really find myself using the glyph LED, making it quite a forgettable feature. Now for its display. After a couple months using this device, we are still made to believe that the display is somewhat average, in a good way. We have a 6.55-inch Full HD Plus OLED panel with a 120Hz refresh rate. Colors are very vibrant and accurate, and although some users encountered a few issues on its display, with reports of units projecting a green tint on the display, as well as showing some dead pixels on other users, one good thing about it is that the brand is aware about these issues and took actions for it. Hence, the overall quality of the display is up to par with today's standards, and again, we didn't have an issue with our unit, thankfully. Nothing didn't add much of a tweak feature on the software side either. It has the usual adaptive brightness, display size, night light, and an additional extra dim to save more battery juice when it's activated. It also does have HDR10 Plus support, great for those who love watching videos, and outdoor use is okay when you set it to its maximum brightness. And it does feel a little warm to the touch, pretty normal though, but we suggest keeping the brightness level at 70 to 80% for a more optimal temp. When it comes to multimedia consumption, unfortunately, we only have downward firing speakers here. However, the sound quality is still clear and immersive enough. When it comes to the cameras, the rear features a 50-megapixel main Sony IMX766 with optical and electronic image stabilization, a second lens with a 50-megapixel ultra-wide, and a 114-degree field of view using a Samsung JN1 chip. The front is a 16-megapixel camera that uses a Sony IMX471, and in terms of camera features, I like the fact that it has a RAW feature and expert mode that you can use if you want more control when taking photos. I'm happy that they didn't compromise when it comes to these features. At first, the features felt too basic, but as I dig down into the nitty-gritty details of the app, I found a lot of features that are worth checking out. One of them is the RAW file, then the glyph fill light for both photo and video. It uses the glyph LED strips at the back to act as a fill light for whenever you take photos or videos, and another is the record LED indicator. And if you're familiar with the camera, this is a primary indicator that the shooter or cameraman is already recording you. Overall, I wasn't expecting much from the camera department since this is just a mid-range phone. Still, the quality has not been compromised here. It's feature-packed, photos are great in good to low light environments, and excellent dynamic range was seen even in low light. Stabilization is smooth, videos are okay, and the audio is usable. I've used it during the Conquest 2022 event held in SMX Pasay, and capturing a crowded event with high volume speakers is usually a problem when recording this event, but to my surprise, audio is well maintained. Another thing to note is that when shooting 4K, it automatically switches to electronic image stabilization rather than optical image stabilization. So you will notice that the screen will have a more fluid-like movement when shooting in 4K versus when switched to 1080p, which looks more natural. Although you will notice some noise whenever taking low light shots, but it's still bearable. Also, I see that most of the time it's in auto mode, and it always has a hard time capturing moving objects. So you will notice a bunch of blurry moving people in our sample shots, but still, the overall quality is okay for me. Nothing much to complain about, and even taking photos was snappy, which is a big plus. The bokeh effect is a hit or miss for the selfies, but the quality is still preserved. Both front and back photo color rendition is on the warm side, and also during this review, the phone got 2 significant updates, drastically improving the camera. Therefore, I recommend updating this phone immediately if you ever plan to have it. Onto the software side of things, it runs on Nothing OS based on Android 12. It is clean and pretty straightforward, and you don't have those pesky bloatwares that eat up space on your storage. For months and months of using this device, I still got 68GB of extra storage. Although keep in mind that I wasn't using this device as my main daily driver, but I kept all of my apps on the phone. I am also taking photos and videos from time to time, and our unit only has 256GB. But hey, I think the 128GB can be a decent capacity for most people. Going back to its software, there is a bit of a learning curve in the notification toggle screen, and what's funny is that it took me a while to know the location of the Wi-Fi because by default it shows the mobile data, then beside it the Bluetooth. Powering this device is a Qualcomm Snapdragon 778G Plus chipset, 8GB of RAM and 256GB of storage. Given this configuration, day-to-day tasks like texting, calling, social media browsing, taking photos, and playing games is a breeze. In addition, the phone is snappy and responsive even with apps running on the background. I'm not a gamer myself, but I threw a couple of graphic-hungry titles like Genshin Impact and Call of Duty Mobile, and man, the Nothing Phone 1 can handle it pretty well. If you are interested in numbers, here are the benchmark scores that we got. Juicing up the Nothing Phone 1 is a sizable 4500 mAh battery, but unfortunately it only includes a Type-C to Type-C cable in the box. Still, it can charge up to 33 watts fast charging and has a 15-watt wireless charging feature. PCMark's battery test rated it at 12 hours and 39 minutes, and it can last a day and has good standby time since it doesn't come with much bloatware. Call quality is superbly clear and crisp, 5G capable, and has a consistent data experience throughout the time I use this device. Now to wrap things up, the Nothing Phone 1 is actually a decent smartphone. It is overly hyped because of its somewhat futuristic design, but the insides are just about what you would expect on a smartphone in this category. The selling point of this phone might be forgettable because it is more about aesthetics, but as a regular smartphone without all those bells and whistles, the Nothing Phone 1 can actually be a good daily driver. With a starting price of 27,990 pesos, it does lean towards the expensive segment of mid-range smartphones, making it a little hard to remarket this device after its hype, as you can get better mid-range smartphones at this price that offers much more when it comes to performance, battery, and cameras. Not to mention you can get a second-hand flagship device at this price tag. But it all boils down to your preference. If you want a unique, weird-looking smartphone that will serve you basic day-to-day tasks, and you have the money for it, yeah, the Nothing Phone 1 is a good choice. Otherwise, look for something else or wait for the Nothing Phone 2 if there will be one. For now, what do you guys think of the Nothing Phone 1? Do you own one or still interested of getting one? This is too much once, but do let us know in the comments section below. And if you like this video, be sure to leave a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. And visit yugatech.com for the best tech news and reviews here in the Philippines. This has been VJ of Yugatech. Take care and have a good one.